I'm Ed Salvis of APTV, and we're on St. John's Island in Sunset Lake Park. And today we're going to be talking with Jamie Nadell, chairman of the Sunset Lake Commission, and with Wendy Glassman of the Asbury Park Sunset Lake Conservancy about their efforts to keep the lake in top condition. We're on the footbridge over Sunset Lake between 5th and Sunset Avenues, and I'm speaking with Jamie Nadell, the chairman of the Sunset Lake Park Commission in Asbury Park. Tell us a little bit about this bridge. This is a new bridge also.
Yes, this is a very new bridge that was constructed after it suffered damage in Hurricane Sandy, as I know many Asbury Park residents remember. And the city and the council did a lot of work to create a beautiful footbridge, which we're sitting on right now. So this was originally a trolley bridge when a trolley serviced the city. And once the trolley was decommissioned, I think it was about 1945, they built a footbridge not unlike the one we're sitting on now. And it's my understanding that that was the footbridge that served as the Emory footbridge until the damage in Hurricane Sandy. So it's a testament to the work of the city and the council that we have this footbridge in addition to the Grand Avenue crossing. Obviously, this is a place you can sit and have a really beautiful view of St. John's Island and west towards Maine and the north end.
And your job as the chairman of the Sunset Lake Commission is to guide the care and cleaning up of the lake, and you have a rather extensive plan coming up to do that.
Yes, that's true. So the commission is very young in terms of lake commissions in the city compared to Wesley and Deal. It's about 3 years old. I've been on the commission for the majority of that time. I think I joined about 6 months in, and I've been the chair for about the last 6 months. And we hold quarterly cleanups, which we had a cleanup this morning of the lake and park. And we meet monthly, and we discuss plans to beautify the park, concerns and issues we have with the condition of the lake and the park. We do have the superintendent of the Department of Public Works, Bill McClave, on our commission, so we can just pipe directly into him to tell him what we're seeing, and they're doing a really beautiful job of keeping the keeping the park looking as well as it can. And you mentioned the master plan. So T&M, the city's engineers, completed this summer a really extensive plan, everything from water quality concerns to art spaces, landscaping, walkways that will make it just a park that more people are going to enjoy and use in the city. And that plan will be going before the planning board in the next month or so.
And your goal is to keep it as a very quiet park. In other words, not with amusements or any other type of activity like boats or water jet skis or anything like that.
That's true, and that's that's not a decision that was made unilaterally by the city or by the commission, but we took public input as part of the T&M plan. T&M and the commission and the Conservancy met with the public over two meetings early this year, and uniformly or overwhelmingly, I should say, they wanted a passive use park. So not courts and, as you said, amusements or concert setups. I think that over time we do want to make this a place where we are having events when sort of the weather calls for it, but otherwise it should be a place people can sit peacefully, have lunch, and just kind of enjoy the scene.
You mentioned the island, the St. John's Island. Do you have a history of that, how it got the name St. John's Island?
I do, yes. James Bradley purchased Asbury Park. It was a short time after that a Reverend Stokes from Ocean Grove actually coined the name and gave it what is its legal name with the city, St. John's Island, because he said that it reminded him of the Isle of Patmos. I guess St. John also goes by John of Patmos. It's Book of Revelations. I have heard residents call it Robinson Crusoe Island, and I wanted to know why that was. why that came up. That was a nickname given by James Bradley, who fancied himself an adventurer like Robinson Crusoe.
Okay.
So when he landed, but that's not its official name, but you'll hear it called that as well.
And what do you envision as uses for the island, for events and so forth?
As part of the park and lake, it's passive use. There are benches there. The Department of Public Works has recently reinforced the stone steps that are there to make them safer, and included some lighting on St. John's Island, which I know people have appreciated. But a place to sit and look, just like we are now, have lunch, and I think that it's a place on the park people love. I actually went there when I got married to have my first look, where you're back to back and turn around, because I think it's just one of the most beautiful backdrops in all of the city.
What about the water quality? I know that's been an issue and you're dealing with that.
Yes. At the public input, that was overwhelmingly the two major concerns people had about the park were lake quality, water quality, and the geese. So in order to properly address water quality, the lake needs to be dredged. That's something that's understood by the city and by the commission. It is a expensive task, and my understanding is the city is working with their own budget and with private development, hoping to assist with that process. It's not just cost, it's what is in this lake, what is in the sediment. The main concern is if that's toxic, it's expensive to sort of store and dispose of that. But in the meantime, the commission does contract to have the lake treated. But our issue is we have many, I believe it's 16 drainage points where the city's streets basically drain into this lake, unfortunately, and we really need better water quality devices, which is part of in the master plan proposal, to keep everything from coming in. So we have sediment that makes some parts of this lake only 2 feet deep, and then when you get a warm day, it's impossible to not make it green and for algae to bloom, and so that's our issue. The lake needs to be dredged. In the meantime, we're just putting Band-Aids on the issue.
Yeah. And that's something that's going to take some time.
It will. It's my understanding it's been a discussion with the city now for several years. We're hoping that the forming of the commission, we have City Councilwoman Eileen Chapman on our commission, and she is our point person between the council and the city and the commission. We've explained how important this is, and she heard in public input how important it was. But we're here on a day when the lake is looking about as beautiful as it can look. But that's the long-term goal.
And people who aren't familiar with Sunset Lake should come out and visit and enjoy it.
Absolutely, without a doubt. We have, if you have children, dogs, if you just want a quiet walk by yourself, there's something for everyone at the lake. I encourage people to visit St. John's Island. There is a very beautiful Veterans Memorial, which we can't see from where we're sitting, but that's on the east side of the lake, where you can sit and have quiet time for that purpose. So it's really a beautiful place, and anyone who visits, I'm sure will come away with a good feeling.
I'm joined now by Wendy Glassman, who's president of the Asbury Park Sunset Lake Conservancy. That's an organization that was formed a couple of years ago to help take care of the lake. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Give us an idea of what the Conservancy was formed, why the Conservancy was formed, and what your goal is.
The Sunset Lake Park Conservancy was formed in 2017 to partner with the Sunset Lake Commission to revitalize, protect, and restore the park to its historic beauty and glory, and to provide educational and artistic programs for the people in the community. Our vision for the park is that this is a place for an opportunity in an otherwise very urban environment for the people in the community to feel like they're a part of nature and all that that does to enhance their lives.
And of course, that takes money. And
That
so that
takes
is
money.
a large part of what your Conservancy is doing.
So one of the main objectives that the Conservancy has is to raise funds that will be used to support the development and implementation of the master plan that the city will be adopting for Sunset Lake Park, both in terms of infrastructure, in terms of helping write grant applications for funds to build the structures and programs that we need, and also to provide programming within the park for the kids, the students, and adults to take advantage of all of the natural beauty, the birds, the wildlife, and teach people in the community what's here.
You have you yourself have a long history with Asbury Park. Your family has been part of the city for a long time.
Yes, I remember as a child coming to Sunset Lake Park. My great-grandparents first settled here in the late teens, early 20s. My mother was raised here. My grandparents and my great-grandparents had businesses in the city. My grandfather had a drugstore on the west side, and we also had Home Drugs on Main Street. My family was also involved in the carousel and the funhouse. And my mother talks a lot about the stories of servicemen coming for the rides and being a part of the boardwalk.
So you've actually been coming to Sunset Lake for a long time. And how can people get in touch with the Conservancy? And you don't have to be a resident of Asbury Park to take part.
No, the programs that we have are open to anyone who comes in. We try to publicize it on Facebook, and we work with the Sunset Lake Commission to offer the programs, and so the city will publicize those programs in its weekly announcements. Signs will be posted on the electronic sign on Sunset Lake, and we try to get things posted in the local papers. We have worked with Conserve Wildlife of New Jersey and to do a series of programs that we did last year for the third grade STEAM students. One of them was in Sunset Lake Park, others were on the beach, one was at the high school, largely focusing on wildlife, on the need for conservation, and anyone is welcome to all of these things. We have several fundraisers during the course of the year that we've had at different residents' homes. We've worked jointly with the Asbury Park Music Foundation to offer a Sounds on St. John's program. We will do that again and also be working with the Asbury Afro-American Music Project for another fundraiser where we will have music in the park. It's one of the programs that we hope will be an ongoing program and activity within this park. Something, again, that was historically done for many, many years.
Wendy Glassman of the Sunset Lake Conservancy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.